This is the story of the African herbs, and we are looking at the aspect of moving from dependence on medicine imports towards self-sufficiency in medicine and research in Africa. Now, if we can go a little to the past of where we have come from as a continent, is that we have come from a state of self-sufficiency. Of course, we know before the colonial period, Africa had its own ways of treating its own ailments and challenges. They would make some cures from plant extracts, from minerals, and several concoctions. And this, of course, had their own specialists who we called the medicine man. Every village or every community had a medicine man who was specialized and who had knowledge, specialist knowledge in how to use herbs and extracts to make concoctions for the ailments that people encountered. But what is it that we lost on the advent of either colonization and the other forms that impacted Africa? One is that we lost the local knowledge. Africa lost her indigenous knowledge as we moved towards manufactured medicine, which of course we didn't know about, we had no control about, and we all just took it. And of course, a very good example is the current pandemic, where we take medicine, we take the vaccine, and we assume and we believe that it is fine. But do we bring our local traditional knowledge to bear on this? No, because we have lost much of it. The other bit, of course, with the loss of knowledge is the loss of home remedies. Virtually every home had a way of addressing some health challenges that came along. I remember as a kid, at some point I was suffering from chest pains. Of course, I couldn't tell what that was about. And my grandmother would pick a piece of shoe. Those days they would make shoes out of old tires, and she would place it near the fire and then place it on my chest with a blanket to heat up my chest. I didn't understand what that was all about. Then gave me some concoction, and I was up and running to school the following day. Not forgetting that if we went out, when we went, not if, we always went out playing, and would get bruises and cuts as we came home. And what they would do is I would see my grandmother go out to get a piece of a leaf of aloe vera, clean the woods, and smear the milky part of it, juicy part of it, on my wound. And you know, from that, the flies would not get to the wound, and within no time, a few days, and the wound is done. Of course, we'd always go back to playing and get new wounds. But that bit about the loss of home remedies is another major loss that we suffered. The third major loss is the loss of plants, and this is unfortunate, still going on even as we speak. We have extraction and outright theft of plant material in Africa. And talking about the situation in Kenya, I think all of us know the huge number of containers that are always intercepted as people smuggle plants from different parts of the country for export. And of course, we know what this does. They are extracted, and once out there, they are made into medicine, which we then, of course, import. And that brings us to our loss number 4, the money. And what we, of course, know is the average family in Kenya spends a lot of money when going to the local clinic or health center. And it's even worse off when you think about that at the national scale, the billions of shillings that we spend every year importing drugs. Some for very ordinary ailments that would easily be taken care of if our people had the knowledge and the access to materials that our grandfathers used for treating these common ailments. So these are four major areas that have been major losses for us. And we think that this can be addressed in many ways. I think that's a small graphic that you can easily see. Of course, with the advent of the new Western doctors who are trained, not necessarily Western because they are Europeans, but Western through Western education. And unfortunately, most of them just receive information on how to diagnose a patient and how to prescribe medicine. And that's the end of the story. We don't have the training that tells us to go beyond the prescription of the drugs at the shelf. This is something that we need to address. We need to think about integrating local solution and traditionally proven alternatives to medicine so that at least we can reduce the economic burden on our people. Of course, I've mentioned about the issue of imported medicine. I don't think I need to go back to that. And of course, the amount of foreign exchange that we lose every year as we import and export these jobs. Where is it all lost, or is there something we can pick? Of course, the introduction may paint a very negative story, but it is not all negative. We have a lot of good that comes from the research that is done in the West, in universities and in research institutes that go a long way in adding our human knowledge, our collective knowledge on how to address diseases. So this is a bit that we should be able to get and integrate as we think about how to bring on board these solutions. The other bit is precision technologies. We are at least very familiar with precision technologies when it comes to warfare and agriculture, of course. Eyal can give us a whole lecture on precision technologies on agriculture. But this is also another area which can and is helping us make great strides in health, human health, as well as animal health. Not to forget, of course, the fact that instant communication provided by the internet, as well as internet-based platforms, enable one doctor or one physician or even a patient to actually get some instruction on how to address a situation from remote areas. So this again is something that we cannot wish away. We cannot just go back to traditional practices and say that is all. We should be able to take advantage of these advances. And of course, finally, number 4 is the remnants. The fact that even after many years of extraction and theft of plant life, we still have a lot of plants with active medical agents in them that can actually be revived, propagated, and extracted for our local use. So it's not all lost in that regard. So I would look at this as giving us, moving us to look at the situation and using a different approach. And the best approach I propose here is to integrate the best of both, the best of traditional knowledge, linking up with the best from research, picking the traditional cures that are proven to work, and of course, picking the medicine that is superior to medical cures, where medical cures are limited. And also picking the traditional processes and seeing what we can benefit from them, but at the same time, not being blind to advance in technology that would help us do much more in addressing challenges of our time.
Gachora,
yes, El.
Do you have an example that can explain it? If something was done already in this of combination of traditional and modern?
Yes, I could just give an example of a common ailment in Africa, say malaria, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know where we do not have medicine, we have situations, places in Kenya that are very far from the nearest medical center, and Sudan and Uganda, of course, could also give examples. What do our people do? They use the neem tree. Mm-hmm. And what they do is they cut a bit of the bark of the neem tree, boil that, and take a cup or half a cup after every few hours. Mm-hmm. Now, we know that that works, but we also know there is some danger in that traditional method, because by taking a cup, I have no idea of how much content of the active ingredients I'm taking. Now, if you compare that to, say, the medicine that the doctor prescribes, now the doctor, if he is good or she is good, will explain to me what I'm suffering from. Of course, the lab will have shown that. And depending on the number of malaria organisms in the sample that they have tested in the lab, they will decide the strength, the medicine that they will give me, the dose they will give me for that particular. So the aspect of research that has gone into the dosage is something that we cannot wish away just because it is manufactured. So this is what I'm saying, that we look at what it is that we have from the local perspective and locally available materials, but also think, how is it that we can move towards some standardization? And by standardization, you're looking at say the dosage, say the packaging, say the safety aspects. You know, all those the hygiene in the preparation and the handling. Those are things that the local QAs need to really look into as we think about integration of the traditional and the new. I hope that answers that question. Now, the other bit that I look at, which is also important, is the policy and legal frameworks. We know, of course, there is a constitution on one hand, the basic law of the land, which provides and I recognize this, you know, the traditional plant varieties and the use of this for the well-being of the people. And of course, the constitution, if I'm looking at the Constitution of Kenya, that's Article Chapter 2, Article 11, subsections 2, 3, C. It says the Parliament will legislate on property rights and protection of plant varieties, their genetic characteristics, and their use by the people of Kenya. Now, when you move now from the Constitution, the basic law, to the legislation, which now enables, which is an enabler of what the Constitution provides, is that we have acts of Parliament which are supposed to guide the actualization of this. Sorry, one of our participants is online. Hi, Daktari. Yes. Oh, you're not able to. No worry. It is being recorded, so we can share the link with you later. Yeah. Asante. Yes, so we find that the legislation aspect is a bit confused, because what should enable what we are discussing here, the use of herbs for cures, kind of tends to be lost between what we call KEFIS in Kenya, the Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service, and the Kenya Poisons Board. And there has been a bit of pull and push between those two. The latest being a bill that was drafted with support by the Poisons Board, pushed through Parliament, and eventually landed at Senate, which rejected it because it did not include some very important aspects. So these are areas, and that's what I'm calling gaps, that will need to be looked at by the people who are practitioners and who are concerned about these herbal provisions, to see how these legislative gaps can be taken care of, as well as the policies. But am I suggesting that we are original in thinking about these things? Absolutely not. There have been people who have gone ahead of us. And if we think about the situation in Kenya, there is no better person to mention as a pioneer than J.B. Kokwaro, the professor at the University of Nairobi. Kokwaro and his friends have published very widely about the medicinal plants of East Africa, South Africa, Central Africa. But one more person that I thought I would want to highlight is Mr. Gachadi, who has produced a Kikuyu Botanical Dictionary. This is a book that contains all the known plants among the Kikuyu community, and how the various ailments they were known to treat. Now, I have listed them there: Kakoro, Maundu, Mbuya, Vadkot, and what. But of course, these are just a few. There are many others who are still doing a lot of good research in these areas. And what we are doing is basically building on the work that they have very ably carried before us.
Are you in contact with them?
Some of them are around us, like Professor Kokwaro is very much around, and he's contributed immensely in this area.
Okay.
Yes, they, of course, not listed in that list is Dr. Murangiri, who has just called me. He was supposed to be in this call, but he has a problem in connection, so he will be hopefully joining us in the next round of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so this now brings me to introduce the platform that we have created, the Center for African Medicinal Plants. I note here that it is a social enterprise. Why social enterprise? Because it is meant to provide service to the people. That's the driving point. As you can see, the vision is to have a vibrant Africa free from disease. And for us to do that, we can either go the NGO way, where we write papers and proposals, and then we seek for funding from donors to come and help us do what we want to do, or we go fully the business way. Now, we have decided to avoid the NGO route. Mm-hmm. So rather than writing papers and proposals for people to come and give us donations so that we can do the work, we want to actually start the work with what we have. This therefore means that we are committed to doing and providing solutions that we can sell in order to run the operations. That's why it is a social enterprise.
It's a social business enterprise.
It's a social business enterprise. Now, the bit that is a little different here is that we have created it as a platform of centers, mini centers. So it's actually going to be a confederation of centers. Okay. Why a confederation of centers? Because we recognize that no one herbarium can have all the plants that we would want to capture the traditional knowledge of African peoples. Each geographical location has its own unique plants, and each community has its own knowledge and plants that they have used for various ailments. So the idea is that, for instance, in Kenya, we have 47 counties, is that we shall have a herbarium in every county that will focus on the plants that are indigenous to that particular county. So if you go to Turkana, for instance, you will have a herbarium in Turkana that focuses on the plants that the Turkana people have traditionally, customary used to treat themselves. If you go to Kwale, you will have a herbarium in Kwale that the Duruma people have used for years to treat their ailments. And so when you go to the Maasai, and you go to the Somali, and you go to the other people of Kenya. Number two is that rather than having us, the center sending people there to establish those herbariums, we are going to work with the local people, the local practitioners who already have the traditional knowledge and already are doing something in this regard. And that's where somebody like Dr. Murangiri comes in. He has his herbarium in Embu. He already has a certificate to process medicine.
Joseph, please mute yourself.
Okay, good. We're going to work with people who are resident in the area of interest, so that these are people who not only have the traditional knowledge, they also are practicing herbalists. And number three, these are people who are certified to process plant extracts for medicine, so that we avoid just running with quacks that say they're going to do this and the other, and of course provide things that cannot be verified. So it's going to be a network. It's actually a network of centers. Each network for each geographic area, as long as each herbarium or center shares the same vision and mission. And I have shared with you there on the screen, the mission of the Center for African Medicinal Plants is to empower every child to use available resources for their well-being. Now, why the child? Because we know if you teach me something new at my age, very soon I'll be going to join my ancestors, and it will die with me. But if you teach children, if you allow children to come to that herbarium and ask questions and see you making medicine from the extracts, these children will have a longer life, will have more people to interact with, will have more opportunities to actually test and try out what they have observed. Number two is that children are the only means of ensuring that we have sustenance of what a community wishes to pass from one generation to the next. So one of the things that each herbarium should be open to do as part of our agreement is that it should be open for schools around them to come and see and learn from them. Apart from schools, is that they would also be open to universities and research institutes that are within their locality to come and learn from them, or even do research alongside them. So, for instance, again, I give the example of Dr. Murangiri in Embu. He would be working very closely, like he has been doing with the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, as well as the Kenya Organic Kenya Institute of Organic Farming is doing with the JKUAT. But they would also be open to working closely with the University of Embu, which is within that county, so that that herbarium is not just for planting crops. It's not just for extracting materials from the plants, but it's also a research center for practical research among the
Gachora,
educationists.
Gachora, take
Yes.
three more minutes so we can have a debate and discussion. Okay?
Okay, I can finish within a minute, within a few minutes.
Excellent.
Very good. So very quick rundown on objectives of that is: one, to identify and document all surviving medicinal plants in Africa. Number two is to protect and propagate identified medicinal plants for posterity. Number three is to process plant extracts into medicinal cures. And number four is to share knowledge with the community. So that's what every herbarium is expected to do. I have shared with you a number of references, books and journals that you could run to. And I think that should be the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for watching.
Okay.
The screen share.
Okay, so first of all, it was really impressive, well thought through. I have a lot of comments and ideas how to progress, but let's see if some other people want to share and say something about it. John, you want to tell Gachora something about his presentation?
Yes, yes, Eyal.
Yes.
Gachora, thank you very much for a very informative and well-organized presentation. I remember this is part of what we discussed with you yesterday or the day after when you visited my office. And this is, from what I told you, is that this is an area that not many people are focusing on that, because most of the people, when we talk about agriculture and the growing of food crops, they are thinking of vegetables, and especially the exotic ones, and also maybe these are the food crops, the cereals and the cereal crops. But when it comes to herbs, not many people are doing that. And I take this opportunity to thank you for coming up with that idea, because from what I told you is that you are reviving something that I had for many years, because if you look at herbs, they were used even during Jesus' time. And even if you go to when you go to the Bible, you also find that herbs were among the first crops that were put on earth. But with the time, the people have stopped using herbs, and especially in Africa. And we know that herbs, they are for culinary purpose and they are for medicinal purpose. And when we did not have those formal hospitals, as you said, people had the knowledge. They knew that when you are suffering from certain problems, then you know which kind of herbs to take. And this is the knowledge that has gone down with our grandparents. And the current generation is at risk of learning some of this knowledge if we don't do whatever we are supposed to do. So I think this is an initiative that is going to promote intergenerational learning, through which the older generation will pass on the knowledge about herbs, the medicinal plants, and also for culinary purpose to the young generation. And through this, what we are going to see, number one, is a improvement in people's health because of eating healthy. Then because we know food serves also as medicine. Then number two, we are also going to see biodiversity conservation, because we are going to bring back some of the traditional herbs and plants that currently are on extinct. And then number three, people are also going to improve economically, because one, they will reduce the amount of money they pay as hospital bills. And then number two, I know that dried or even fresh herbs, they have very good market in urban areas. And therefore, people who are going to venture into that direction, then they are going to generate income. So this could also create employment to our young generation, our young people in schools. So focusing on centers focusing on geographical areas, focusing on schools is a well thought out idea. And therefore, I would encourage you to continue championing that. As I told you, is that Scope Kenya, we are very ready to work with you along this journey. And this is something that I told you that we are already thinking of introducing in schools, where we are going to promote the growing of indigenous trees, medicinal trees, and also the herbs within school, so that children can actually learn when they're in school. And also, this is something the school can also become a source for the planting materials when children want to introduce this back at home. So thank you for now. Thank you for the good presentation. And I'm very happy to be in this forum.
Okay, excellent. So, Gachora, anybody else want to say something? I want to also say a few words. If somebody wants to say, please open your camera so we know that you want to say something. Gachora, I think there are a few ways forward. First, it's a very thoughtful presentation. I think one way forward is to tell the story of different herbs. Let's say every month you come with one herbs and one story about it. And in this way, the knowledge is accumulated. It could be plant of the month or something like this. And it's in this way, it's easy to share. I can show you, I have a very good book in Hebrew, but for every plant they do the background, also story background. So I think the story, I will share with you how you can tell the story of each plant. That's one issue. And then I think you should talk about network of organization and people, not only organization, because some people can do it by themselves and be amazing without organization. So you should allow networks of people and organization. So you have to think how this network develop, and TOP is totally dedicated to this type of things, and see how we can help you in this. But that's the idea, because I think a lot, as you state, a lot of the knowledge is lost, but not totally, because it's still here, and it's almost the last moment to do it. And I think also you have to remember that some of the herbs are curing the soil, not only people. So it's important to understand this also, because we have to cure the soil and the soul. And understand both type of herbs. Some of them doing both, some of them are doing only one. But most of the medical herbs are doing also heal the soil. Okay, good.
Thank you very much for those comments. I know we have Eustace online. I don't know whether we can give him a minute to share a little about his perspective from Uganda. Eustace.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Gachora. Good afternoon, Macharia. Good afternoon, everybody.
You. Afternoon to Eustace.
This is Eustace. That's my first name, and the second name is Sajabi. I'm from Uganda. We coordinate an NGO for the Agency for Integrated Development. I know at least a few of you in the meeting, Gachora and the Macharia, as I also normally come to Kenya to learn. And I'm glad that you have been able to start this social enterprise, and I'm happy to be part of it. When I've heard we've been promoting sustainable culture, where we have also included herbs and the spices, and we have women who have been able to improve their livelihood by earning from the sale of those herbs. So I think as part of our fund, it is the experience that I'll be bringing in. We already have people who are earning from the growing of herbs, and we also have nurseries that are also earning money. Nurseries owned by youth and the women, and they are earning a livelihood from this kind of enterprise. So I think if we promote it further, I think it will be good for our fellow East Africans and Africans.
Eustace, sorry to interrupt you. If you can just put your camera on for a minute, just to put face to the name.
Coming up. Yes, it is on. It is on, and I'd like to remove the mask.
Yes. That's better. At least we are now able to put a face to the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
I'm traveling.
Okay.
I'm traveling. I've been from southern Uganda, but as I told you, I got some experience on promoting of herbs and the spices among women groups, and we have also supported nurseries among farmers where youth and the women have evolved as proprietors of nursery where herbs are grown. But I also happen to have been used the herbs as I was growing, and those days in the villages, even before they take you to hospital, they just be washed down using herbs. Yeah? So, and even that was, if that was not enough, you could even take a half liter in case of malaria. So I got that experience, and I know how important the herbs can be to the villages where hospitals are far from the people. So that's what I can share for the moment, but I'm very happy to be part of this initiative.
Yeah, thank you very much, Eustace, for that perspective. I don't know, do we have somebody else to share something?
Joseph, you want to share?
Yes.
Okay, please.
Joseph, I'm connecting from Naivasha. I work for an organization called Future Focus Development. And I have a personal interest in herbal and trees. I remember a very, very interesting presentation. Must have prepared a lot. I was saying what I like about the presentation is the approach is that you intend to move to the ground at county level, and as much as possible make it participatory such that the local people targeting the children at that level are involved, so that the plants that are put at that level are those that are suitable to that ecological zone. So I think when you move around in quite a number of nurseries, you only find into promoting agroforestry species and also fruit trees. And that is why you find when you move to a number of very established nurseries, you'll be lucky to find some herbal plants. So I think this is a move in the right direction. And once it is scaled up, it will definitely have big impact. Yuan told me to preserve for you 2 seedlings in the compound of Warubagia ugandensis. They are still lying here for you to pick.
I am coming for them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joseph.
1 minute, so we can. Hi, yeah, sure. We have to finish now.
Happy to hear that you have got hold of.
So before we finish, Gachora, you can say the last word, and I want to invite everybody next month in the first week of January. We'll do about the best practice of ESD in Kenya by Christine from Kemi. So Gachora, please conclude, but unmute yourself.
Thank you, Eyal, and everybody else who has joined this talk. And like we said, this is a social business enterprise, which is open to as many people who are keen on, reshaping, changing the story of Africa, and especially when it comes to ethnomedicine. So we look forward to engaging you, and feel free to ask me, call me, and let's see how we push this story forward. Thank you very much, Eyal.
Okay, I'm sure we'll push it forward because it must be, because that's really the essence of Africa in many aspects. So you must gain it back. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
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 I hope you'll be able to get a presentation.
Yes, it is being recorded. We shall share with you when, we shall share the link.
Asante.
Thank you very much.